it's a fair thing to say that as a young man I was rather scattered. I can remember, as I've told various people, the world whizzing by me at a high rate of knots, and it's what makes me think that there's a possibility that I'm mildly autistic. That all having been said, whatever it is that affects me, whatever I deal with on an ongoing basis, I dealt with being scattered when I was younger. What that meant was I was more likely to pick up things about the world in sort of piecemeal fashion, and I wasn't typically able to get very much depth in my knowledge. I want to talk today about the idea of breadth and depth on the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I'm your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday the 11th of December of 2021. Welcome to everyone who's here on Rumble, on the podcast, on YouTube, and thank you for coming along today. Remember, Rumble is my preferred platform, and again, we're going to talk on the subject of breadth and depth today, and I'm going to run through my notes very quickly in order to kind of give you some idea exactly where it is I'm coming from. Most folks are prone to have either breadth of knowledge, which is not particularly common, or depth, or frankly neither of the two. Because the majority of people can either operate largely without even a great amount of knowledge on any subject, most people I know don't tend to have depth of understanding. And since the greater part of society wants to go to work, then do the things they want to do, which one might wrongly think to be a consequence-free life, the bigger number haven't breadth either. There are a scant few who have depth in certain areas, deep pockets limited in scope. It seems to me there are fewer yet who have breadth, know at least something about a good many things. I used to consider myself one who had a little bit of knowledge on a lot of subjects. In time, I came to the conclusion there were certain things of which I wanted deep understanding. The result is I tend to be a person with a wide spectrum of knowledge as well as more detailed understanding of a limited number of subjects. If I understand my knowledge base at all well, the question, can you seek both breadth and depth, can be answered with a resounding yes. Another interesting idea to explore would be which of the two is more important. I would certainly say if you're talking about what can be used to get jobs and similar, depth is more important. To really understand your world and, if you will, to be rounded, knowing a little or even a lot about a lot of things is probably a more significant thing. You may not think that matters. I promise you, if you think so, or if you don't think so, you're mistaken. The more of life you know something about, the better off you're likely to be in the long run, for a variety of reasons, by the way. So maybe the question doesn't have a direct answer, though I would say having deep knowledge about things you work in is probably the more important in the short run, or maybe it's fair to say both can be and probably are equally important depending on circumstances. Maybe you think that people like me are just eggheads, and that none of that stuff matters. If you do, I have a simple question. How's that job or career going for you? If you don't have to be a genius, but the more you know, the more valuable you are to whoever employs you, whether or not you run your own business. So if you run your own business, the more valuable you are to yourself. I don't care if you're digging ditches, working in a restaurant, or doing brain surgery. Which matters more, breadth or depth? Maybe it's not that easy to answer, but one thing's for sure, both matter. Okay, done with my notes, so let's get on with what I'm trying to get to here. I said early in my notes, and probably repeated it a time or two in some different ways, that if you're looking to get a job, the deeper your understanding of a given thing. So if you're a carpenter, in how to work wood, if you're a plumber, in how to deal with pipes and do all of the various things that are related to that, right? If you're an electrician, the same. If you're a brain surgeon, how well you know the brain and how well you understand what you're looking at when you're looking at things and so forth. So depth of knowledge is an important thing. But let me point something out to you. One of the things that's actually helped me a lot is to have knowledge of things that other people in my field did not. So, for example, other people might have understood the deep things that you need for the things that I do. I'm a computer programmer, right? The software developer, whatever, however you want to term that. So they might understand the deep things where that's concerned, but lots of times they get so caught up in the depth that they don't understand the breadth of things, and they fail to be able to apply things in reasonable ways and get themselves caught in all kinds of traps along the way. And I'll go a step further. I'll say this: as you get older, the more breadth matters, because the more people are going to expect you to be able to switch from thing to thing to thing. And if you don't have breadth, I'll put it this way, you're not going to find that that's going to be an easy thing to do. Why? Because you're going to have to learn about each thing that you switch to. Now, you can get to the point where you have depth in this and depth in that and depth in that, and you know that they're going to ask you one of those three things, right? You can get to that point, and that's helpful. But at some point, most people end up either managing people who are doing a particular thing, so being a software development manager or being a tech lead or something where they have to have a whole bunch of knowledge and the ability to gain more. I admit, one of the things that I've held for a very long time, gaining knowledge is as important as having it. But I'll also tell you that there's importance to both breadth, that is, having a lot or a little or a lot of knowledge about a lot of things, and depth, having a bunch of knowledge about about some things, so that you can be valuable to people who are using you. And this is also true for life in general. When you understand things about how debt works, and when you understand things about how to cook, or how to get food without working as hard, or when you understand how to clean without working as hard, when you understand what the best way to mow a lawn is, and these all seem like unimportant things, but the older you get, the more important they are. When you start to realize that lots of the time it's more about just keeping at it and making things happen, right, than it is about how to put this. So a lot of people will give up very quickly. And an important facet of a successful person's life, in my opinion, and I think you'll find that most successful people will agree with this, is tenacity. It is continuing even when you're looking at things and asking yourself, how can I do this? And if you have a breadth of knowledge, lots of times you can think about things and go, oh, but I can consider this totally outside the scope of this technically, and it will help me to understand how to do that thing better than if I didn't know about this thing that I have as a result of my breadth of knowledge. Now, sometimes depth is enough, and I'll grant that. In fact, lots of times depth is what you really need. My point in all of this is to say, though, both breadth and depth of knowledge, whether you think so or not, are important. And if you don't have them, I highly suggest that you seek them. Because if you don't have them, what you're going to find is there are going to be others who you're going to look at and go, why is that person more successful than me? And I'm going to go, well, how about this? How about because that person said, I'm going to learn things that are going to make me valuable, or I'm going to learn things that will make it so that I can produce value as a result of the things that I know. This is what you need to understand. So, first of all, knowledge is important. Second of all, breadth has its place, very definitely. Thirdly, depth is pretty important, though it's something that for most people happens over time, so you have to get used to the idea that if you want depth, you've got to plug away and keep at it and keep at it and keep working on those certain things and focus yourself on those things. Breadth can be some things that you just gain along the way that don't require you to focus quite as much on any given thing. But both of those are useful, and knowledge in general, of course, is as well. Okay, I need to go ahead and wrap up because I'm running out of time. This is the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I am your host. I'm Kurt, and today is Saturday, the 11th of December of 2021. That would be the end of the Sabbath at sundown today. So if you're observing the Sabbath, I hope you're having a good Sabbath today. Tomorrow will be Sunday, that beginning of the Christian week, the 12th of December of 2021. Thank you for everyone who's been here on Rumble, on the podcast, and on YouTube. Almost said welcome again. Had to think about it for a second there. Remember that Rumble is my preferred platform. You can give me a boxing glove or a plus on Rumble if you believe that what I'm doing is worth your time and effort. You can give me a minus on Rumble if you believe that it's not, and I'm totally fine with you doing that if you want to. You can give me a thumbs up on YouTube or a like. If you like what I'm doing, you can give me a thumbs down or dislike. If you find what I'm doing problematic in some way or don't like it or whatever, just don't like it, right? Wherever I post my content, you can comment. I would love it if you would do so, particularly if you give me negative feedback in terms of the standard feedbacks, right? But on the other hand, you can give me the negative feedback without doing that, and I'll try to work to make my content more valuable to you. You can give me also a comment without giving me any feedback. That's fine as well. Hope you're doing well today. Oh, by the way, the subject for today has been breadth and depth, and tomorrow is going to be how I spend and why. And this is something that I think a lot of people need to hear, because when you're younger, you don't think about this so much, and maybe it's more important than you realize. Again, hope you're doing well today. Hope everything is going well for you. Hope that your weekend so far is being a relaxing one, or at least being what it is that you would have it be. Hope that things continue to go well for you over the course of time, and I would love to see you again on Sunday's edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. The speaker on this edition of the Daily Summation is Kurt Schubert. This video was recorded on Saturday, the 11th of December of 2021. The Daily Summation is created for Kurt's Religion and Politics. Thanks for watching this edition of the Daily Summation from Kurt's Religion and Politics. I hope you found it entertaining or instructional, and maybe both. If you want to see more from me, you can go to blogs.kpschubert.com. That's blogs.kpschubert.com. I am on Twitter, Parler, and Minds.com. My handle on each of those is @kpschubert. That's @kpschubert. I have a Rumble and a YouTube channel. They are the Kurt's Religion and Politics channels on Rumble and YouTube. I have a Facebook page. The Facebook page is Kurt's Religion and Politics as well. I am on Patreon. If you want to support me, that's one of the better places you can do that. And you will find me at Kurt's Religion and Politics on Patreon. I have a podcast. The podcast is podcasts with an S, .kpschubert.com. That's podcasts.kpschubert.com. I think you should be able to find me with relative ease on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and Spotify as well. The best way I find to do that is to look for Kurt's Religion and Politics. You can try to use the Daily Summation. I find that it doesn't work as well as a general rule, but you can always try that. I'm glad to have you aboard today, and hopefully we will see you again tomorrow.